Welcome, my friend, to Next Level Change Success. I'm Therese Perez, a change strategist and practitioner with over 20 years of experience designing and delivering impactful change programs across various industries. In this podcast, I share real-world practical strategies to help you create and deliver positive change experiences, whether you're a leader, practitioner, or someone looking to bring new ways of working to life. In today's fast-paced world, change is constant. Here we focus on how you can put people at the centre of your change strategy, because people with a sense of purpose are the most important link in driving performance. So if you're ready to create meaningful change and achieve all the success that comes with it, keep listening. Together, let's change the conversation and take it to the next level. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Next Level Change Success. My name is Therese Perez and I'm the founder of myvirtualchangemanager.com. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm recording on Tharawal country and pay my respects to the traditional owners and custodians on the land on which I am recording. And today we are talking about change frameworks. What's the best change framework for your organization? Or sometimes, why do change frameworks just not fit? So from a change perspective, if you're not familiar with some of the different frameworks that exist, some of the common ones you will hear about are the Lewin model, the Prosci, Kotter. They're typical. I am very much a bit framework agnostic, and I'll explain why soon. Just want to talk about, I guess, people who are obsessed with different models. And similar to most views that I have about the world, I'm agnostic because this is all about being fit for purpose. I'm across Kotter, I'm trained in Prosci, have adapted a lot of change thinking to create an agnostic model for my virtual change manager, one that I've used often in organizations which may not have a framework. And let's unpack that a little bit around change frameworks in general, because most organizations will require a framework of sorts, a methodology. And you need one because it helps to articulate the roles and responsibilities of a change manager, the expectations there, what that role entails. It helps business sponsors understand what to expect from their change practitioners. And it will help in future to ensure that each change practitioner who comes into your organization, if you're at that point in change maturity that you're hiring in, whether it be consultants or contractors, that they adopt the methodology within the organization, but also then it means that all the documentation in relation to past change can be standard, which means that new change managers who come in can pick up the lessons learned log, for example, understand what worked and what didn't in the organization. It helps build capability across the organization to have a change framework, and it's a worthwhile investment from that perspective. If you don't have a framework or something that's really clear, people are pretty much doing change however they want, and sometimes it may not be as effective, and therefore the change managers might also be devalued in an organization or not respected because of it's very individual dependent versus there's a framework that should be adopted to an extent. So let's talk a little bit about, from a change perspective, let's not be evangelistic. So if you're a change manager or a change practitioner, it doesn't help to evangelize change as though it is the panacea to all things. However, it is important because it will give structure. It is a way in which you're helping manage change for efficiency, and so that you can get better outcomes from your project investments for sure. That is the core of why you would have change at all in your organization. But I just want to make sure that if you are coming across change practitioners who are quite evangelistic about it and saying that, change is more important than project management, or that change is the best discipline in the world, I think that's not necessarily the case. I don't think the overall aspect or roadmap for change should actually involve that. It's just about having a framework which helps organizations be agile and adaptable on an ongoing basis, because most organizations will need to be agile and to be adaptable and flexible. And change management allows for that. It helps facilitate that, and it helps keep your people engaged in the journey of an organization. So let's talk about the particular frameworks. I mentioned Kotter, mentioned Prosci, mentioned Lewin. There's McKinsey. There's a whole bunch of different models. What I would say is that some frameworks don't fit because they cost too much. And part of the reason why I created and brought my virtual change manager to the fore for people who aren't involved in change is so that that's not a huge investment for people to understand change. It's not a huge investment to get access to templates that they can use within their organization, and that they get access to templates that are practical. So sometimes the framework is impractical because there's too many templates and it takes up too much time. And I would always say that that is a big downside to some of the biggest change frameworks that have been rolled out and even in corporate. It isn't relatable. So it could be that you're in an organization where it could be human services, where people really don't want analysis paralysis. They want good change planning, they want good engagement plans, and they want the change to be able to be measured, reported on, lessons learned, good outcomes. And sometimes the analytical nature of some of the tooling can be quite extensive, which might work in some organizations, so engineering organizations, science-based organizations, research organizations, because that's a language that a lot of the stakeholders will be used to, but it's not necessarily something that other organizations would appreciate to the nth degree. And sometimes you have to become an expert to use the tooling. And I think that in and of itself is a factor why some frameworks and some tooling just simply does not work in organizations. You shouldn't have to become an expert, in my view. It should be adaptable, and it should be simplified to the point that anyone could use the tool and get aha moments, and to be able to create a robust change plan from asking obvious and easy questions. So the other reason why some of the tooling or the frameworks don't fit is because if you've got a project environment and you haven't tailored your typical documents to fit the project management methodology, it's too hard for people to engage with, and it's too separate. And a program or project environment should be symbiotic between the change and the project side of things. Those two different practices weave together quite nicely. Many of the frameworks don't actually take that context or show how that interlocking can happen. And that's where the framework will fail, because you will end up in conflict or in unnecessary tension between projects and change. And that's not how it should be. The two need to coexist because both elements contribute to positive outcomes. That's another reason why sometimes the frameworks do not work well. And when we're looking also at agile practices, sometimes change practitioners struggle in an agile environment because of their skill sets or because they. And so in some projects that have agile practices or organizations that have agile practices, sometimes then the change framework absolutely has to fit agile practices, and it has to be simple and be able to be deployed fast. The speed around agile is important. However, I think one of the biggest struggles from a change practitioner perspective in that agile environment is oftentimes it's wagile or fragile rather than actual agile discipline, which just means it's chaotic, and that with the teams that are available, it's hard to get clarity around what's getting delivered, when it's getting delivered, how it's getting delivered. And that can cause, once again, tension. So it's not about the framework itself, it's just about the ways of working and the capability around the table. And as I said, the sometimes agile is not actually to the agile discipline that many would expect and to the level of maturity that's needed. So when would you introduce a change framework as well? I just want to cover that off for you. If you have one change practitioner in your organization who's working on a particular piece of work, they're going to bring the tools that they typically would use. If you're wondering what those tools are, there is definitely a free download that I've got around how projects and change fit together. Jump to myvirtualchangemanager.com, suss it out, have a look at it. It will help inform you as to when certain deliverables would be relevant for a project or a change person to deliver. And hopefully your change person in your organization is delivering to that. And then if you have multiple, so obviously often the maturity journey for change is that you have one person come in, then there might be multiple change people as you realize the value. Hopefully you've already got project managers within your organization, because sometimes the first stepping stone to any sort of maturity and change is actually about project and project methodology, and that's getting in play. When you're finding that you're constantly investing in change contractors or consultants to come into your organization, it is worth considering the investment to establish some positions and establish a framework. As part of that, I would always caution to ensure that you're not over-investing. I wouldn't go too much into a boutique offering. So there's a lot of individuals out there, and obviously it's a bit ironic. You're listening to Next Level Change Success. You could say I'm one of those individuals. However, I've created a generic model that does not need training as such or some huge investment in your organization. I've created and provide you with the templates that you would need. And if you're a HR specialist, if you're a comms person, if you're a business analyst wanting to get into change, if you're someone who wants to get into a change analyst role, my tools are there so that you have a template, you have a way of working, and my training is there for you to be able to develop skills at a lower cost for yourself. If you're looking to bring in capability development across your organization, that's a different kettle of fish, and that is definitely a different stage in your maturity journey. But a framework should be put into play if you have more than 2 change managers or 2 change practitioners in your organization. Mainly because you want a bit of standardization, you do want that enduring learning that can happen. And if you're constantly investing in projects and continuous improvement in your organization, to bring in a change model that works for your organization, where there's a constant recurring experience that people have when planning and delivering change, then it helps for everyone to understand it. And it should be simple enough that anyone across your organization could get minimal training for best uplift across your business and in all of your business areas, and actually be part of the offering of your development planning and your development investment in your people. So when you have subject matter experts who work on multiple projects or programs, you would be looking to invest in them anyway from a project or change perspective, because they eventually will probably be the leaders of continuous improvement journeys or continuous improvement projects in future. So investment in your people is also going to pay back where you're not going to require sourcing skill sets from external, but develop within and have a bit of a hybrid model, source external, but also develop within, and then giving your internal people more of an opportunity, and then bring in more talent into the change space, whether that be, once again, a bit of more mature talent from the external market in a specialist area, who then may help to upskill others in furthering their approach to change, but always looking at a bit of a hybrid internal and external investment for a period of time, dependent upon your program landscape. So the investment and the reason why most organizations now value project management and change management is because they realize they're continually investing in programs, projects, continuous improvement. Better that they invest for better outcome, and ensure that they also develop their own people and the capability across the organization. Over time, you're going to see that return 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. What you were seeing years ago where there was no structure around this process, no structure around how projects were run, the inefficiency was rife. And so this is very much about investing in your organization. It's about investing in efficiency. Ironic that I say inefficiency, but you're investing into efficiency and ensuring that you are also investing in your people and their own capability and their skill set. So change frameworks, well, depends. You can choose a framework, but don't overinvest is what I would say. You can absolutely, if you have a whole raft of change practitioners currently in your organization and you don't have a change framework, then you really would be making sure that they can create one, because every contractor would have one that they follow anyway. If they don't, then I would question their kind of background and experience. Most have a process that they follow. Then make sure that it integrates into your project or program framework if you have one existing. And absolutely, if you have more than 2 change practitioners in your organization, you would want to have a standard way that they approach change in light of hopefully also your project methodology. And make sure that you're also then leveraging that for your existing staff and some training, some upskilling for them to be able to adopt the change framework of your choice. If you're curious about a change framework, if you're not sure where to go, come and visit us at myvirtualchangemanager.com. Come to our webinar series. You'll see some of the training that we do have available, and it isn't going to cost you an arm and a leg. It's very accessible, and the reason why is because I believe that this change discipline and an agnostic change discipline should be accessible to everyone. We all need it. It helps your people. It helps for efficiency within organizations. It will help you achieve outcomes. And even if you're a leader of people, it is worth upskilling, understanding the 5 key questions that you can ask from a change perspective that will lead you to be able to understand the impacts of change and the investment that you will need in that change to make it successful. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I certainly have enjoyed recording it and chatting about this, because obviously you can tell I'm quite passionate about this topic, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for listening. Hi, it's Therese here again. I just wanted to mention that we have the Change Intelligence webinar series happening this year, and you don't want to miss out on any of the topics that we're going to cover. It's a live webinar series talking about change resilience, change frameworks, connected thinking, how you can change your mindset and the mindset of others, behavioural change and what that can offer. If you don't want to miss out, then come to myvirtualchangemanager.com. Just simply register and we'll let you know when the next webinars are happening so that you can come along. Spaces are limited, so be sure to jump across and register as soon as you can, and you'll see some of the topics that we're going to cover. I hope to see you there and to continue to work with you to create positive change experiences.